Alrighty, welcome. Thanks for joining. In this video, I'm going to just be showing you how I use Pan Pastels to create a soft skyscape for the background. And starting off with a permanent red tint, and that might seem a little unusual, but when you look at clouds, there's often a tinge of pink or red to them, and this is just a very gentle tint. And on this navy blue Pastel Mat, it's just going to be a very soft way to introduce the clouds in the background. And the focus point for this particular painting that I'm working on is going to be this couple dancing, and so I want the background to be very soft and a little bit dreamy, as it was in the original reference photo. Don't mind me, I'm just having a coffee in the background. So I'm using a little okay, so I've just switched to the red iron oxide tint now, and it's got a much warmer feel to it than the permanent red tint, and it's already building up that cloudy layer. I mean, if I was to do just clouds, I'd be delighted to just use those two reds. A little bit of phthalo blue coming in the background. I did try some French ultramarine tint as well, but it was too cold and I didn't like it. The phthalo's got a much warmer feel to them and play nicely with the permanent red and the red iron oxide. So the type of little palette knife I'm using here is the soft tool that is purpose designed for Pan Pastels. Yeah, a bit of turquoise coming in. I'm just putting down layers, and while I'm sped up by 10 times here, it's just a process if you just keep working all the way around your background. Just stick to the same colour one at a time, and just move around with that colour. You're going to come back and put other layers on top. Don't have to try and get it perfect to begin with, because this was a little tight space in between their faces. I just wanted to use that as a reference point for colours as I went around the rest of the picture. So the little sponge palette knife, I think that's the one with the slight curve at the end. So yeah, I was going to say oval shape, but it's not really an oval shape at all. It's just got a little curve at the end. And I normally either use that one or the one which has got a straight end to it. And you can use the sponges, the soft micro sponges, soft as in SOFTT, I think it is, for soft tools, not as in soft as in, you know, soft to touch. And I have used the sponges like wedges to do big broad strokes, but there's more control with the smaller palette knives, and it does take a little bit longer. This whole background ended up taking me I think about 2 hours to get all the way around it. And there's the point where I mean, the first section took me about an hour and a half, and then you just need to walk away and come back with fresh eyes later, because you stop seeing the areas that really need fixing. That it all just sort of blends together in your eyes. So I'm just coming in and softening that pure phthalo blue, and this will just be a tint. I think this is the phthalo blue tint that I'm just popping down on top, just because it wasn't the time of day. I suspect it might have been around noon, so the sky's quite light at that time, and yeah, phthalo blue tint. And then I'm going to go over the clouds that I've done, just to blend them in, and we'll come back and do these clouds multiple times to get the effect that I'm looking for. But you can see with the Pan Pastels, they're actually a very effective way of building up a background. Some use them for a bokeh, is that how you see it? Bokeh or bokeh effect, and I have tried them for that, but I prefer this sort of dreamy landscape. When I'm using them with wedges, you can get some really nice painterly effects. But this was quite a nice little sky that started appearing. I was really happy with the warmth and the clouds you can see in the lower left, and up in the right where I'm working now. Multiple times I came in with the what was it? It's the red iron oxide, and just dropped that on top as well, so it would have sort of a misty look. And because this is a pastel mat paper, and Pan Pastels themselves are extremely fine pigment, much finer than normal pastel sticks or pastel pencils, you can get quite a number of layers in, and it's very forgiving. There's no panic about mixing and matching the colours, although I am sticking with a warm palette rather than a cool one. And here I come back in with that red iron oxide tint, just to get a sense of almost a misty look to the clouds in the background. And I think we're almost reaching the part where I thought, I've got to take a break. The little marks I'm putting there on the clouds, I thought, maybe I'll punch out the edges a bit, and that's French ultramarine, and I ended up just coming back over that with the phthalos and the turquoise to knock it back again. It didn't look good. That's the great thing about using Pan Pastels. They behave much more like regular paint. You just go over the top of what you've done. It's no problem. It'll just blend back in. As I was starting to work it through, though, I did notice that they were just starting to drag a little bit, and you can see a little bit of a darker edge to the clouds. I didn't mind that effect at all, but that's starting to let me know that I've overworked the piece. And here I just come back in. This is I'd walked away from the painting and came back to it an hour or so later and went, okay, here's my dark bits that aren't fitting in with the total values of the sky, and we'll just knock those back. So with this particular painting, I'm really only using about 4 or 5 different colours, and it's the pure, which is the mid-tone, which would be the phthalo blue and turquoise, and then tints of the phthalo blue and the turquoise to get a little bit lighter at the bottom of the sky, and I left a little bit more of the darker phthalo blue at the top of the sky, and the permanent red, and the nice warm red iron oxide. Now that red iron oxide I intend to use later on in this particular painting in the skin, and pull that into the skin, along with the red iron oxide will be for shades on the skin as well. I'm always a little bit cautious. Every time I use the red iron oxide for skin, it never quite works out for me, so I'm kind of hoping this time round, because it's already in the sky, it's going to blend in nicely later on in the painting. As you can see, got quite a nice little background that's appeared. As I go through a painting, I come back to it later on. I'm doing the background for this particular painting first up, because I don't want that dust to be dropping down on the picture later. But you can see from what I've done, there's barely any dust, pastel dust, dropping down onto the silhouette now below. Barely any. And that's the beauty of Pan Pastels, that very fine pigment. It's really takes away the mess, that dusty mess that you can get with doing pastel work. But pastels, of course, they're a wonderful medium. And here we are at the end. I really appreciate you coming along and watching this little video about using Pan Pastels for doing a background. We'll see you again next time. Hooray!